Well, good morning, everybody. It is Connor here. We're back with another video. What's going on in your world? We have a fantastic coffee here from Smithfield 7. We're going back there. I've been told to go to Proper Coffee. Dubliners, let me know if that's good. Or Old Proper Coffee or something like that in Smithfield 7. Apparently really good. But yeah, we're here talking about Leeds United. A bit of a debrief after the debrief. And I am calling, I have to say, I am calling for calm. Leeds United, 76 points, goal difference, fantastic, and the weekend played out in the back of my head exactly how I thought it would. Genuinely, I did a little bit of a, as the patrons maybe sort of saw and heard and understood the tone of my voice when I was speaking about this weekend. I was so sure that Leeds were going to drop points in this game, and I was so sure every other team, when you look at the game week, they're all going to pick up points. Sunderland at home to Cardiff, greatest of respect. There could have been an upset there, but not really. If we're looking at it, you know, Sunderland, it was a tight game as well. Not convincing at all by the Black Cats, but still got it done. Then you look at Sheffield United, they're always going to beat Preston, but a narrow game. And look, when it comes back to penalty decisions, you look at the penalty decision that wasn't given to Leeds yesterday. Conversation there, but the penalty decision that wasn't given to Preston North End against Sheffield United was massive as well. So two big penalty decisions in the promotion race. Not given. But listen, overall, as I've said, Sheffield United deserved to win that game. Burnley deserved to win that game. There's a conversation about Marcus Edwards now as well, which we're going to get onto with the difference he's made on the second channel. But also, there's, you know, big conversations to be had as well about sort of Leeds overall, you know, and where we're at. And this weekend was always going to be a tough one for me. You know, you guys know that I was being as harsh as I could, and I did a bit of a score prediction table. I had Leeds losing this weekend 2-0 on one of them, and I was just trying to be as harsh to Leeds as I could. And Leeds can still go up with max, you know, post 100 points. We're a very good team at this level, but there are deficiencies. And this is going to be a bit of a you-know-what sandwich where we talk about that, and we also talk about the positives. But look, overall, yesterday was really bad. It's another pressure game at 12 o'clock. Leeds have now won 2 games in 13. We have 1.1 points per game in comparison to 3 o'clock and 5 o'clock kickoffs, where we have 2.5 points per game. Leeds have just been abysmal at 12 o'clock kickoffs. I don't know what it is. Is there a little bit of an underlying issue when it comes to motivation there? Tempo, intensity, what is it? Why can Leeds not get up for these, especially away from home, but these midday kickoffs? Leeds just struggle. And I don't know what that is. Like, what the hell do you put that down to? Like, I'm more looking now at preparation, because it's a thing now. It is a thing. You know, the media are picking up on it. We're aware of it. It's just not good enough. You know, 1.1 points per game at 12 o'clock kickoffs. Like, what the hell is that about? It's just nowhere near good enough. So that's got to drastically improve. That's pretty obvious. What a setting, by the way. Dublin looking lovely this morning. But yeah, Leeds may be in a little bit of a problematic setting when it comes to that time, and we've got 2 more 12 o'clock kickoffs in our next 4 games. So yeah, also everybody, just before we get on, please make sure you are subscribing to the Patreon. We've got a vlog out there now, which I think you guys will really like. On top of that, we've got more podcasts coming this week. A few things that'll interest you on the Patreon. Shout out to the new members as well. A couple more joined yesterday, which is fantastic. But yeah, another thing that I wanted to talk about this morning. Look, I don't want to talk about individuals too much, but you kind of have to when you're doing a bit more reaction. We spoke about him yesterday in Brendan Aronson. There's got to be a time for change. I had a look at his statistics this morning, and I just can't understand why some of these Leeds fans are just like, no, you can't drop him. It's just like, do you know what I mean? It's like a dog chasing a tennis ball. It's a dog chasing a tennis ball, him on a football pitch at the minute. And it kind of always has been that, but we kind of got towards that Oxford game at the back end and games in and around that where he was good, you know, but he is just, 2025 has not been his year so far. And Daniel Farke basically set his stall out, in my opinion, at the beginning of the season when it came to meritocracy and players getting in based on performances, players being out based on performances. But it seems to be a different set of rules for Brendan Aronson. And the whole number 10 chat as well, not for me. You know, because you've seen Peru play in the 10, you've seen Joseph play in the 9. And alongside that as well, this season you have seen changes. We all know that certain individuals can play in that 10 in this side, and I'm not convinced he wanted anyone in that 10 in January, because he wouldn't be playing Brendan Aronson all the time. If you're a manager, if you've ever been a coach before and you don't like a player, or you think a player's a little bit inconsistent and he's not been good enough, you take him out. You take him out, of course you do. And if anything, you're proving a point. I'm going to get him out, I need a little bit of help here. Well, that can be at any level, it doesn't have to be at top level football. So, yeah, for me, he needs to come out. That's the change I've been making for Wednesday. But Wednesday coming up is big for Leeds, and it's a good game for us to have, in my opinion. The intensity of a Millwall game is going to be good for the club. But can they get up for it? You know, can they get up for it? It's a night game, so this points per game chat's not going to be in the conversation, because Leeds are good on night games and anything, just not 12 o'clock. But, yeah. I think, as I mentioned, I don't want to panic whatsoever, because I don't think we need to. But Aronson, Meslier, for me, are just two players on this side who are deficient at the minute. Look at Elan Meslier yesterday. It's getting to a point now, which, don't get me wrong, the line wasn't good. You know, when Bishop broke that line, it was a poor defensive line. But overall, you look at that goalkeeping where he's hesitant to come out. He second guesses himself, which is Elan Meslier in a nutshell. He's not a confident goalkeeper. And then Rodon turns around and starts shouting at him. There's another occasion in that second half where you're getting Sam Byram getting chipped the ball when he didn't want it, and he gets absolutely nailed into touch. And he just shouts at Elan Meslier. None of the defence have got any confidence in him. I've said it all season, and that is so important. Do you think Sheffield United's defence are confident in Cooper? Do you reckon Burnley's defence are confident in Trafford? No questions. Of course they are, because they're good goalkeepers. But this guy, just keep the ball away from him, is where I'm at, which is, you know, we're almost playing with a handicap. You are playing with a handicap if you've got Elan Meslier at the back and nobody wants to give the ball to him. The defence don't trust him whatsoever. You can tell. But, yeah, those two, unfortunately, right now, and in general for me, are the massive weak links in this Leeds United side. But as I mentioned before, Tanaka wasn't good yesterday at all. His worst game in a Leeds shirt. Peru missed 2 sitters. Byram, one of the saves of the season from their goalkeeper. Excellent save. Firpo hit the bar. Firpo then missed a one-on-one. Leeds weren't the better team yesterday, but we had massive chances. Massive chances, which is the positive, because against Blackburn, when we lost last on the 30th of November, we weren't good. We were not good. So that's the difference. The difference is at least yesterday we were creating chances. At least yesterday we're in it till the end. But Portsmouth were the better team. Conversation about Ethan Ampadu, and I didn't want to properly strike it up, to be honest, because I don't really want to address it, but I'm a little bit worried about this guy not being involved. If we're going to teams like Portsmouth, we're playing up against teams like West Brom, even at midday, but just in general, going into these physical, combative games, and the pressure's on, not having our captain there. And maybe that is more of a thing than I thought it was. Maybe it is, you know, especially these away games. You know, I'm just looking at it now and I'm thinking, you know, Ampadu wouldn't have stood for those levels yesterday. Look, you can't measure that, it's not quantitative, but he just wouldn't have stood for those levels yesterday because it wasn't good enough. And his quality in that midfield is massive as well. We all know that. So, I don't know, maybe something to be, you know, had there when it comes to a conversation, but I wanted specifically, as I'm going to put my coffee down for a second, to read out some of these stats. So my next thing that I wanted to speak about was Largi Ramazani, right? And I wanted to speak about Largi, and I wanted to have a look at some of these statistics regarding him. Okay? So, for me, Largi Ramazani has to be getting more minutes. Okay? Now, so per 90, which, to be fair, is something we should judge these players on. Shout out to Jim Bob, or at least give them a little bit more credit. So he's got more goals per 90 than Manor Solomon. More expected goals per 90 than Manor Solomon. More XG on target than Manor Solomon. More non-penalty XG than Manor Solomon. More shots than Manor Solomon. More shots on target than Manor Solomon. And more expected assists and expected goals per 90 than Manor Solomon, as Largi Ramazani sits second in the team on expected goals and assists behind Dan James per 90. Now, for me, And there's that we get this all the time, and I don't understand it. I get it's a different perspective. But the whole, they came on and they were rubbish. Guys, I mentioned this yesterday. If any of you have played any standard of football, it can be anything. Anything. You know, I've been in big games before where I've been benched and then brought on, and I might not have been favoured by a manager, and this is professional football. I might not have been favoured by a manager, and I've come on and I just can't get to that level. I'm rusty, I'm not properly match fit, and that's the difference between being fit and being match fit. I can't really get anything going, my legs are a little bit heavy, but at the same time, I'm just not really that confident as well, and I'm not really just at that level of which I need to perform. Pre-injury, Ramazani was unbelievable. He was virtually unplayable at championship level, and I think Daniel Farke has managed him really poorly. Really, really poorly. Now, Daniel Farke has been an excellent coach for Leeds United. We're all very, very aware of that so far. You know, Leeds have got to a level of which, you know, we're on the precipice right now. We're on the level, potentially, of Premier League football. You know, we're not there yet, but you know, I think your bookies would still think that Leeds are going up as champions. I think we're all still really confident, but he's really mismanaged one of the best talents in the Championship poorly. He's been fit now for around about 15, 16 games, 713 minutes. 713 minutes. 125 minutes in his last 12. It's really poor management for someone who is one of your best talents and one of the best talents in the Championship. And for me, especially when you've got those statistics, I think Manor Solomon's been really good. But when Solomon's been a bit quiet, he has to be more proactive in those changes. And when Leeds are going against the grain, Daniel Farke has one tempo, and one tempo only. And we don't seem to increase that tempo in these games. And I feel Ramazani, maybe an earlier introduction of Nonto and Joseph would do that. We all knew yesterday how the game was going. We all knew. And you'll get the smart asses in the chat going, oh, well, why don't you be manager then? It's not just about that. It's about just looking at it from a football perspective. That game wasn't changing. We came out, second half, it was the exact same game, and we don't see changes until later on. You're giving yourself less chance to get back in the game. You're giving the players less chance to build up minutes in the legs. And those stats, if Ramazani per 90 wasn't doing anything, if Ramazani per 90 was struggling, but he's got 4 goals, and Solomon's on 7. And I know Solomon's been excellent, absolutely excellent. And I've really, really been impressed with him. And if you do watch the videos, you all know how impressed I've been with Manor Solomon. But you have to give largely Ramazani more minutes. And for me, it is the most obvious thing, and we called this out on the channel ages ago, that one man has been brought in by Daniel Farke, and in my opinion, one man has been brought in by the club. I think it's evident. So, I don't know. I've no idea. As I said, I think Solomon's been excellent, but Ramazani just simply has to get more minutes. It's not good enough, his management at the minute, and that is Daniel Farke's fault. Albeit he's done well this season, Farke. That's one of his big mishaps, in my opinion. But psychologically, the pressure is on now going into Millwall, but I'm really happy we're playing on Wednesday. I'm really happy we're back. I'm really happy we don't have to wait like we had to wait with West Brom, even though that wasn't a loss. And guys, you know, you'll be getting stick because Leeds have lost the game. But when you look at it, one loss in 18 matches is unbelievable. It's an unbelievable record. So take it as a Leeds were always going to lose. We were always going to lose. And as I say, I had a feeling this weekend. So that's why you'll tell them this morning, I'm not overly disappointed. I knew it was going to happen at some stage. But that bounce back's huge now. Leeds have to go to Millwall, have to welcome Millwall. And Millwall are going to bring in intensity again. They're not going to give us time. They're going to be snappy in that midfield. And Leeds are going to have to be up for a fight, because they were up for a fight in that FA Cup game and Leeds weren't. We've got to be up for a scrap, and we've got to go face to face, nose to nose, and play them off the pitch as well and be better than Millwall. And then we've got to go to QPR and do the exact same thing. Questions, obviously, like we've mentioned with Ampadu, not being there, not being available, us lacking that intensity in the midfield. But I think we've got more than enough to get promoted. But one thing, what I will say is it has to be better than that. The level has to be better than that. And for me, the manager needs to start making changes. It's not reactionary. Look, we've all said this, well, we've said this on this channel for a while now. You know, I've spoken about Aronson and his position. We've spoken about Gruev and his position. I'm always tentative. I'm always a little bit wary of having Gruev in there. What he offers on the ball just isn't good enough for me, even if we're going somewhere to be defensively resolute. And on the back of that as well, I think there has to be more changes if this manager continues to just do what we're doing, which is offering largely Ramazani no minutes. No minutes. It's just going to impact the team. It's going to impact the team. And as I said, those stats I read out, they're all facts, it's stats. Ramazani per 90 has actually been very, very good this season. So there's a lot to compartmentalise there, everybody. Let me know what you think in the comment section below. We're not going to be back tonight with a debrief, unfortunately. We're going to be back with the live show on Wednesday. Obviously, when Leeds play Millwall, we're going to be back doing the live stream. We've got the watch along. We've got all the instant match reaction bits as well. So make sure you join us for that. Please make sure you have a look at the vlog as well on the Patreon. Well worth it. And on the back of that, everybody, have a lovely day. Don't think about it too much. We've spoken specifically about the game there. But that's it now. It's done. Our first loss over. It is what it is. It was going to happen at some stage. In this same period of time, I believe Sheffield United have lost about 4 games. You know, we've lost 4 games all season. So that's how you've got to sort of contextualise it. Leeds still looking good. But yeah, there has to be a drastic improvement in terms of standards that we know we can set. Guys, make sure you like, comment, subscribe. It's been an absolute pleasure. From Dublin, Smithfield 7, I think it is. I'll see you in a bit.